So somebody was nice enough to send me these documents here. And if I'm not mistaken, it's when it was after he had already been sentenced and had been ordered to self-surrender at a certain date. But, even though he was convicted of this shit, this, what was it? Interstate domestic violence, I believe, was his charge. He still seemed to participate in those type of actions. Well, I guess the judge got wind of it, and he was ordered to self-surrender. So apparently he was supposed to go to jail after Thanksgiving, but he had to surrender a little earlier than that, like around sometime in October, middle of October. So he gets called back into court, and the clerk says, "We are here in the matter of the United States versus Amico, case number 23 CR 6057. So we have Mr. Resnick appearing by audio only. We have Mr. Pacifume. Is it Pacifume or Pacifume? Pacifume appearing by audio and video. And it appears as though Mr. Amico is on as well. Is that correct, Mr. Amico, that you're appearing by audio and video?" "Yes, correct, Your Honor." The court says, "And you can hear me?" The defendant says, "Yes, I can hear you perfectly." The court says, "All right, Mr. Pacifume, does your client consent to proceeding by Zoom for this appearance?" All right, this is just some bullshit at the beginning. When was that? It's a status conference. It's a status conference, so there's nothing new, with the lapse of the CARES Act. There's nothing prohibiting us from proceeding in this manner. "I will state for the record, I'm in open court." So this is the judge speaking. "This matter is open to the public. Any members of the public who wanted to come in could appear, although the only people here in the courtroom are court staff and Officer Trams from probation. But with that being said, Mr. Pacifume, whatever the fuck your name is, does your client consent to proceeding in this manner?" "Yes, Judge." Then the court says, "Mr. Resnick, any objection from the government?" "No, Your Honor." The court says, "So the reason we're here is that I received a memorandum from the probation office about continued post by the defendant on a social media platform after the sentencing in this case. And in addition, I understand that counsel were forwarded an audio from a live stream that occurred on a YouTube channel called Vegas Valley Community Watch Group occurring on September 28th, 2023. You should be aware that the YouTube channel has the ability to go back and look at a live streams. You should be aware that that YouTube channel has the ability to go back and look at live streams, but all of the live streams, well, there's a gap from September 17th to September 30th, 2023, which could support an inference, at least, that those live streams had been deleted. But the audio that was forwarded to counsel was from September 28th. It at least appears as though that's Mr. Amico talking about the sentence that he received and what he plans to do once he's out of prison. God, Mr. Pacifume. What the fuck? Pacifume? Am I saying that right? Pacifume? Did you receive a copy of that audio? I have, Judge. And have you had a chance to review it? Yeah. The court says, "All right, Mr. Resnick, you received it and had a chance to review it." "Yes, Your Honor. I just fucking told you." Oh, no, that's a different guy. All right. I mean, I guess from the government's perspective, if that's Mr. Amico, you don't have any concerns about that? "Yes, we do, Your Honor." If that's Mr. Amico. I mean, we just got it 2 days ago. But yeah, we do have some concerns. And the court says, the YouTube channel of Vegas Valley Community Watch Group is the YouTube channel that Mr. Amico was using. It's referenced in the pre-sentencing report. And it certainly sounds like Mr. Amico to me, and he's referencing the sentencing that had just taken place a couple of days earlier. And Mr. Resnick's like, finally, he's like, "Yeah, okay, yeah, sure, bro. I guess the issue is if that's another crime and a violation of a condition of his release." And the court says, "Well, I guess, let's look at it from this perspective." And I want to hear from Mr. Pacifume. But when I heard it, first thought in my mind was, well, that sure sounds like Mr. Amico. The context, the voice, the sound, the source of the information. It certainly would negate much of what was said in court to me by the defense during the sentencing. Certainly undercuts any reduction for acceptance and responsibility. So, and in that regard, shame on me, because I took Mr. Pacifume's argument at face value, which is that Mr. Amico is now in counseling and doesn't have any of these issues anymore. All right, so he says that audio certainly undercuts that, but I don't think, frankly, from a sentencing perspective, that I can do anything about it at this point. There's not the ability to go back as far as I can tell and do a redo, but there may be issues with respect to whether or not he's violated the conditions of his release or not. I don't know. But what I do think is fully within the discretion is what is fully within my discretion is to revoke any authorization, my permission for Mr. Amico to self-surrender. And you can try to convince me, Mr. Pacifiumi, that that's not Mr. Amico. But as far as I'm concerned, if you don't convince me of that, I think I'm fully within my discretion of saying that this guy should not have the luxury of self-surrendering. He needs to report immediately. And I'm prepared to sign an order to that effect. But I obviously want to let defense counsel be heard on that before I do. And the judge and Joseph Amico's defense says, Judge. So I know probation did state multiple times in both email and the second memo with the attachment that is not the violation of conditions I spoke with, and I don't know if the court is aware. He has a self-surrender date of November 1st. So it's just a couple of weeks away that he has to report to a BOP facility in California. I spoke with Mr. Amico about this, We listened to the recording together, and he advises that, I'm not going to come in and make the argument that it's not him. It's his site. He is an auditor. That's what he does. That's what generates his income. The clip is from an hours-long live stream where him and like fellow neighborhood auditors are kind of discussing what kind of motivates them to do what they do.
I do what I do.
Do what I do. 111.
That was funny. That was funny.
So they say, as I thought at first, Judge, listening to it, that he is referring to one of the victims in this case, and it's not. Hey, he, at the end of his sentence, we talked about how a lot of the things were intertwined, but the backstory is that, how many times can this fucking guy say,
He's again, trying to find some way to keep Joe out of prison for another 2 weeks.
Right? Again, the officer that Mr. Amico is talking about not being the victim, there was an order of protection against Mr. Amico's son in favor of one of the victims. In this case, again, a custody issue. Mr. Amico's son's child was visiting him at Mr. Amico's son's house. The ex, which is also a victim, in this case, went to that house. Something happened. She called the police, and Mr. Amico's son was violated. He was arrested for violating the order of protection. Damn, that sucks. West Virginia. And this is the officer that came, put his hands on Mr. Amico's son. An administrative proceeding involving that officer, and it's my understanding that Mr. Amico's understanding that officer was admonished for what happened at the house of that day. And it was the officer that Mr. Amico was speaking about. And in the context of this whole, that's what's the driving force behind doing. You know what? Can somebody else read this?
Understanding Mr. Amico's understanding that officer was admonished for what happened at the house that day. And it was that officer that Mr. Amico was speaking about. And in the context of this whole, what's the driving force behind doing these, quote, neighborhood audits, is that we want to expose that kind of conduct. And if police know that people are recording, that would maybe deter them from that. Mr. Amico was fully aware. Again, I made clear after speaking to him when I first heard this recording page, there's an order of protection in place with not just these victims, but their families. So he can't audit them. He can't go, he can't approach any of them, let alone not try to contact, nothing like that. Not even through third parties. It's off the table, right? He can't audit them. He cannot do that. And he knows that. And he has no intention of doing that or violating the orders of protection in place. I would ask that you keep him, released. It's a couple weeks away where he has to voluntarily surrender. It's right there, not too far from his home. Probation says it's not a violation. Obviously, Judge, you're right. You do have the discretion. This is all discretionary and a privilege that you're letting Mr. Amico voluntarily surrender.
I would ask that you keep him, released. Sorry, go ahead.
He's still in treatment. He asked if he should continue it, and I told him he should, and he's still doing it. The audio does not, right? It doesn't sound great, but it's in the context, it's different. And obviously, he was very heated and emotional and very frustrated at a lot of things, but there's no harm intended. He did not want to violate any of the orders of the court, and he plans, he doesn't plan on doing so. He knows the orders full well, and he's going to jail for quite a bit of time. So I'm just asking that you keep him released. The courts Are you suggesting that when he wasn't referring to the cop, when he was, sorry, with the chat box over it, it's hard. When he was referring to the cop and was saying that that's why that he had been doxxed and that he was intending to do after he was released from prison, that was not the victim of, yeah, I can't.
I don't think he, I don't know if he threatened the judge's family. Did he threaten the judge's family?
I went through it on my stream last night. It was a cop, a cop, a detective, his own family members, a lawyer, and I think a CEO of some sort, somebody that was involved in the jail or prison system, were the 5 that I saw enumerated.
I'm pretty sure there was also a threat against a lawyer's assistant who was a female.
I think that may have been other charges that got pled down. This is only sentencing on the charges that weren't pled away. So there were probably others involved as well.
Defense. It does to me as well, Judge. Mr. Amico advises, as he talks about the encounter between this officer and his son in the letter that he submitted to the court as part of our sentencing package. It's hard to read this shit. It does to me as well, Judge. Mr. Amico advises, as he talks about this encounter between this officer and his son in the letter that he submitted to the court as part of our sentencing package. It is not that officer, but obviously the custody. Everything's kind of intertwined. The one order of protection, the person where the officer of protection where the order of protection was in favor for is one of the victims in this case. The officer's not. No. So the court says, Mr. Resnick, anything you want to say? No, nothing to add. So the court says, all right, well, as they say, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on you, shame on me. I'm not buying any of this, Mr. Pacifiumi. I am thoroughly convinced that I was gullible at the time of sentencing, and I have been led to believe that all of this is, it's even rubbing off on the judge, this shit. But Mr. Amico
may have been doing it to be sarcastic. I've seen them do that occasionally.
That would be funny. The judge trolling the fucking defense attorney. But, Mr. Amico is purportedly the victim of, and he's not a victim at this counseling. Okay, damn it. Mr. Amico is purportedly the victim of, and he's not a victim of, and this counseling I don't think is working at all. Can I, how impotent this dude is. Joe stands up and is like, can I, and the court's like, I believe he's a very, very, no, you can't say anything, Mr. Amico. He's a very dangerous person. I am directing that he report by no later than noon tomorrow to the U.S. Marshal Service in Las Vegas to begin serving his sentence. You're an excellent attorney, Mr. Pacifiumi. You really are. And I give you credit for trying to argue what you just did, but this is really just very cut and dry that Mr. Amico is dangerous. I never should have given him acceptance of responsibility. I never should have allowed him to self-surrender, and I'm now revoking that authority. Oh, shit. That must have hurt. But I will, as a matter of discretion, allow him until noon tomorrow to report to the U.S. Marshal's office or service. Anything else, Mr. Pacifiumi? No, Judge. The court, Mr. Resnick? Mr. Resnick, no, Your Honor. The court? Okay, thank you, everybody. Whereupon, proceedings adjourned.